Have you ever stopped to ask yourself how much of your life is slipping away because you cannot control the things that come out of your mouth, the storms that rise in your mood, the way your money disappears, or the thoughts that rule your mind? Think about it. Every word you speak, every reaction you give, every dollar you spend, and every belief you choose to hold is quietly shaping the direction of your life. Nothing is neutral. Every choice builds momentum towards success or destruction, and most people never realize the quiet power they are handing over to impulses, habits, and emotions that are running unchecked. The truth is, life is not taken away from you in huge, dramatic moments. It is drained slowly by what you fail to master daily. Harsh words spoken in anger, damaged relationships you may never repair, a mood you don't control, turns a simple challenge into a storm that steals your peace. Unplanned spending keeps you chained to stress and regret instead of freedom and growth. And an undisciplined mind becomes a prison where fear and doubt whisper louder than courage and vision. You may feel these things pressing on you every day. The frustration of saying the wrong thing and wishing you could take it back. The guilt of letting your emotions control you instead of the other way around. The regret of watching your money vanish without seeing the life you dreamed of. The weight of your mind filling with noise, never giving you space to breathe. But here's the good news. You are not powerless. The very fact that you are listening right now proves something inside you is ready to change. The power to master your mouth, your mood, your money, and your mind is already in you. It's not about being perfect. It's about becoming intentional. Psychology tells us that habits are not chains. They are patterns. And patterns can be broken, reshaped, and rebuilt into new ones that serve you instead of sabotage you. Each moment of awareness is a chance to shift. Each pause before you speak, each breath before you react, each choice before you spend, each thought you decide to hold or release, these are victories that compound into transformation. And imagine what that transformation looks like. Picture yourself no longer regretting the words you speak, but feeling proud of how you handle conversations, even in conflict. See yourself calm in the face of frustration, steady when others lose control, grounded when storms rise. Imagine your money no longer being a source of stress, but a tool of freedom, growth, and opportunities you never thought possible. And most importantly, envision your mind finally becoming your ally instead of your enemy. Clear, focused, strong, a mind that lifts you instead of drags you down. This is the reward waiting for you if you commit to staying here, listening deeply, and applying what follows. Because this is not just about discipline, it is about freedom. It is about reclaiming control over the four forces that silently determine the quality of your life: mouth, mood, money, mind. If you can master these, you can shape everything else. Stay with me, because what you will hear can become the turning points you have been waiting for. The key that takes you from where you are to the life you know you were meant to live. Control begins with awareness, and awareness begins with honesty. The hardest thing to face is not the judgment of others, but the truth we hide from ourselves. How many times have you excused your words by saying, "That's just how I am," or brushed off an angry outburst as if it carried no weight? How many times have you ignored the sinking feeling after a purchase you didn't need, convincing yourself it was harmless? How often have you allowed your mind to wander into fear and doubt, and then wondered why your confidence disappeared? This is where change begins, not with shame, but with the courage to admit the patterns that are costing you your peace and your power. Words are not simply sounds that vanish into the air. They are energy, they are influence, they are seeds. Once released, they grow, for better or for worse. When you master your mouth, you are not only preventing regret, you are building trust, respect, and credibility. Psychology shows us that people remember negative interactions far more vividly than positive ones. A careless word can weigh on someone for years, but so can a word of encouragement. Every sentence you speak carries the possibility of destruction or healing. That is the weight you hold every time you open your mouth. And the one who learns to pause, to choose wisely, to speak with intention, becomes a leader in every room they enter. The same is true with mood. Emotions are real, but they do not have to be dictators. They are signals, not commands. Anger, frustration, sadness, these are messengers pointing to something deeper. But when you let them steer the wheel, they drag you into reactions that break your own peace. Science confirms that emotional regulation is one of the strongest predictors of success in relationships, careers, and overall happiness. It is not about suppressing feelings, it is about guiding them, channeling them, refusing to let them decide your future. When you learn to breathe before reacting, to listen before lashing out, to observe before exploding, you unlock a power most people never develop. You become unshakable, not because life gets easier, but because you no longer hand your control to fleeting moods. Money is no different. It is not just paper, numbers, or transactions. It is a mirror of discipline. Every dollar you spend is a vote for the life you are choosing. Impulse spending, careless habits, living beyond your means. These are not just financial mistakes, they are reflections of whether you live with control or chaos. Studies show that financial stress is one of the top causes of anxiety, conflict, and broken dreams. But freedom begins with discipline. The habit of tracking, planning, and delaying gratification is not about restriction, it is about empowerment. When you manage your money, you are managing your future. You are building stability, opportunity, and the peace of knowing that your life is not at the mercy of every desire or circumstance. And then comes the mind, the foundation of it all. Your thoughts create the lens through which you see life. They determine whether you wake up seeing possibility or impossibility, whether challenges appear as threats or opportunities. Neuroscience proves that repeated thoughts carve pathways in the brain, strengthening whatever pattern you feed. Fear fed daily becomes paralyzing. Confidence practiced daily becomes unshakable. To control the mind is to choose which seeds to water and which weeds to starve. The person who directs their mind directs their destiny. Imagine the force of aligning all four together. Mouth, mood, money, and mind working in harmony, each supporting the other. You no longer sabotage yourself in silence. You no longer live as a prisoner of impulses. You begin to rise with clarity, strength, and direction. This is the life that becomes possible when you step into mastery, and the journey is waiting for you the moment you decide to take it. Discipline is not punishment. It is the highest form of self-respect. When you decide to control your mouth, your mood, your money, and your mind, you are not limiting yourself. You are liberating yourself from the chaos that keeps you small. Most people confuse freedom with the absence of rules, but true freedom is the ability to choose your response instead of being enslaved by impulse. The person who cannot control what they say is not free. The person who cannot master their mood is not free. The person who cannot guide their money is not free. The person who cannot focus their mind is not free. Without discipline, you are carried by every wind, tossed by every emotion, trapped by every craving. But with discipline, you become anchored, steady, and unmovable, no matter what storms arise. Think of the times you felt regret after letting your tongue run faster than your wisdom. That sharp comment, that careless remark, that moment of anger that left scars deeper than you expected. Words spoken in seconds can create damage that takes years to heal. Yet with the discipline to pause, you gain the power to build instead of destroy. You gain the respect of others because your words carry weight, not recklessness. You gain the respect of yourself because you know you are no longer at the mercy of impulses you cannot control. This is not small, it is transformation. Now think about your mood. Life will never stop testing you. People will disappoint you. Circumstances will frustrate you. Setbacks will challenge you. If you are ruled by mood, you will be up one moment, down the next, never stable enough to grow. But if you train yourself to anchor in calm, you begin to rise above. The storms still come, but you remain centered. Studies in psychology prove that emotional stability creates stronger relationships, clearer decision-making, and better health. It is not about pretending to be happy all the time. It is about refusing to give temporary emotions permanent power. That is strength most people never discover, but it is strength you can build every day. Money tells a similar story. Without discipline, it slips through your fingers, leaving stress, shame, and limitation. With discipline, money becomes a servant, not a master. It becomes a tool for building, growing, and creating opportunities. Imagine the weight lifted when you no longer fear bills, when you no longer chase after every impulse, when you no longer sacrifice long-term freedom for short-term pleasure. That peace is priceless. And it begins with the decision to take control. And the mind, this is the battlefield where it all begins. Thoughts left uncontrolled grow wild, turning into doubt, fear, and endless distraction. But a disciplined mind creates clarity. It focuses on solutions instead of problems, possibilities instead of limitations. Neuroscience shows us that we can literally rewire the brain through repetition and focus. The thoughts you choose today shape the patterns of your brain tomorrow. That means discipline is not about forcing, it is about training. Training your mind to serve you instead of sabotage you. Training your focus to sharpen instead of scatter. Training your inner voice to empower instead of weaken. When all of these disciplines merge, you stop living reactively and start living intentionally. You stop drifting and start directing. You stop being tossed around by life and start shaping it with deliberate power. That is the reward of control, not restriction, but the ability to rise, to lead, to live with clarity and strength. And it begins with the decision that you will no longer be a prisoner to the habits that once ruled you. Control is not built in one giant leap. It is forged in the smallest of moments, the ones most people overlook. The instant before you answer a question, the second before you react to an insult, the quiet pause before you swipe your card, the fleeting choice between feeding a thought of fear or one of strength. These are the places where mastery is born. Greatness does not arrive from grand gestures. It comes from winning these tiny battles consistently. Every pause, every choice, every shift is a brick laid in the foundation of a stronger, freer life. Your mouth becomes the first gate to guard. Every word is a release of energy, and energy never returns empty. Words shape how people see you, how they trust you, and how they respond to you. A reckless mouth destroys opportunities long before you realize they were yours. But a disciplined mouth builds bridges, commands respect, and multiplies influence. Research shows that people form lasting impressions within seconds of hearing someone speak, and those impressions determine whether doors open or slam shut. The discipline of pausing before speaking, of choosing clarity over impulse, is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is the difference between being dismissed and being valued, between scattering your influence and amplifying it. Your mood is the next battlefield. Emotions rise like waves, but they do not have to drown you. They can be observed, understood, and redirected. Psychology teaches that naming an emotion reduces its intensity because awareness weakens its grip. When you feel anger boiling, when sadness presses heavy, when frustration flares, the ability to stop, to breathe, to name it, this is the practice of mastery. People often mistake mood swings as signs of passion, but in truth, unchecked emotions reveal chains, not strength. The one who controls their mood carries an aura of stability that others are drawn to. In times of chaos, people trust the calm. In moments of conflict, people follow the composed. This stability is rare, and their rarity is power. Money requires the same strength. Most people live reacting to it instead of directing it. They earn, they spend, they regret, and then repeat the cycle. But money responds to discipline. Each choice to save instead of splurge, to invest instead of waste, builds momentum toward freedom. Behavioral studies reveal that delayed gratification, the ability to wait for greater rewards, predicts success across nearly every area of life. When you resist the urge to satisfy temporary cravings with your money, you are not denying yourself, you are preparing yourself for something far greater. That decision compounds. It shapes security, opportunity, and peace. The mind ties all of this together. Without control of your thoughts, words slip, mood swing, and money disappears. But with control of your mind, everything else follows. Neuroscience proves the brain rewires itself based on what you consistently focus on. If you flood it with negativity, it strengthens doubt. If you feed it with discipline, gratitude, and vision, it strengthens courage. This is not abstract, it is biology. Your brain becomes what you repeatedly practice. That means control of the mind is control of your future. The choice is always in front of you. Each moment is a chance to lose control or to claim it. And each victory, no matter how small, builds momentum. These choices may feel invisible today, but they are carving the person you are becoming tomorrow. You are not defined by your past impulses. You are defined by the discipline you choose right now. Self-mastery demands courage because it means facing yourself without excuses. It is easier to blame circumstances, to point to people, to claim that life is unfair. But the truth is that the greatest victories are not won out there, they are won in here. The mouth that speaks without restraint is not controlled by the world, it is controlled by weakness within. The mood that explodes without warning is not caused by others, it is caused by the lack of inner anchor. The money that vanishes is not stolen by life, it is surrendered through lack of vision. The mind that spirals into fear is not broken by chance, it is surrendered by choice. These truths may feel heavy, but they are liberating, because if the problem begins within, then so does the solution. That means you are not powerless. You have always carried the tools to change. Strength is built through resistance. Just as muscles grow when tested against weight, your discipline grows when tested against temptation. The urge to speak when silence is wiser, the pull to react when calm is stronger, the desire to spin when patience is smarter, the temptation to doubt when faith is needed. These are not punishments, they are training grounds. Each test you face is an invitation to grow sharper, stronger, more disciplined. Psychology shows that willpower is like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. At first, the pause feels impossible. The restraint feels heavy. The focus feels unnatural. But repetition rewires your patterns until what was once a struggle becomes second nature. Discipline stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like identity. Your mouth can become a source of power instead of regret. Imagine carrying the confidence that whatever you say builds instead of breaks. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to uplift, to influence, to lead people better than you found them. This is not simply about avoiding mistakes. It is about shaping a legacy through words. Respect flows to those who speak with intention, and when respect grows, influence follows. Your mood can shift from being a weakness to being a strength. Instead of being tossed by every emotion, you become grounded. The storms may rage, but inside you remain steady. Others will notice. People gravitate to those who stay calm when everything else is falling apart. That calmness is not indifference, it is mastery. It is proof that you control your inner world even when the outer world is uncontrollable. Your money can transform from a source of stress into a source of freedom. No more guilt after every purchase, no more fear with every bill. Instead, you begin to feel proud of your choices, empowered by your discipline and secure in your future. Money managed with control becomes a foundation upon which dreams are built. It is not greed, it is wisdom. It is not restriction, it is empowerment. And your mind, once scattered, once filled with noise, can become your greatest weapon. A mind trained to focus, to believe, to visualize strength instead of weakness, creates opportunities others cannot see. Science confirms that the brain strengthens the pathways you feed. Feed it discipline, and it becomes disciplined. Feed it courage, and it becomes courageous. Feed it gratitude, and it becomes unshakable. This is the path of transformation. It is not about living without struggle, but about refusing to be ruled by it. When you control your mouth, your mood, your money, and your mind, you no longer just survive life, you design it. The greatest obstacle to mastering your mouth, mood, money, and mind is not difficulty, it is comfort. Comfort whispers that it is fine to let words spill without thought, that moods will pass on their own, that money can always be made later, that your mind is just how it is. Comfort convinces you that tomorrow is safer than today, that change can wait, that discipline is too heavy. But the truth is that comfort is the silent killer of potential. Every day you delay mastery, your habits grow deeper roots. Every time you excuse your lack of control, you strengthen the very patterns that keep you trapped. Change will never come from what is easy. It comes from stepping into discomfort, from demanding more from yourself than the world demands of you. Discomfort is where growth is born. When you feel the pull to respond in anger and choose restraint instead, you enter discomfort, but you also enter strength. When you feel the temptation to drown in emotion and instead breathe, observe, and choose calm, you enter discomfort, but you also enter power. When you feel the craving to spend for a moment's pleasure and instead save for a lasting reward, you enter discomfort, but you also enter freedom. When your mind screams with doubt and you choose to replace it with faith, vision, and determination, you enter discomfort, but you also enter transformation. Comfort never built greatness. It is the pressure of discomfort that shapes character, clarity, and courage. Studies in psychology reveal that the human brain is wired to seek short-term relief over long-term reward. That is why people snap instead of staying silent, react instead of reflecting, spend instead of saving, worry instead of focusing. But the same brain can be rewired through repetition. Every time you choose discipline over impulse, you teach your brain a new pattern. Neural pathways strengthen with use. What feels hard at first becomes natural later. This is not willpower alone, it is science. You are literally reshaping your brain to serve you instead of sabotage you. The reward is profound. Imagine the energy you will gain when regret no longer follows your words. Imagine the peace you will carry when your emotions no longer control you. Imagine the stability you will feel when your finances no longer dictate your future. Imagine the power you will unlock when your mind becomes clear, focused, and unshakable. These are not distant dreams. They are the natural results of consistent discipline. They are the life waiting on the other side of discomfort. And here's the truth you cannot ignore. Every person you admire, every leader, every example of greatness has walked this road. They did not rise because they avoided discomfort. They rose because they embraced it, because they chose to master themselves before life mastered them. The same choice stands before you. You can continue as you are, giving your power away to words, moods, impulses, and fears, or you can reclaim it. You can decide here and now that you will no longer be ruled by comfort, but guided by discipline. The gap between the life you have and the life you want is not luck, talent, or circumstance. It is control. Control over the small moments, the daily choices, the hidden battles no one sees. Win those, and you win everything. Control is not about perfection. It is about progress. Too many people give up because they stumble once, as if one mistake erases every step forward. But mastery is not built in flawless days. It is built in the moments you fall and rise again. The discipline to control your mouth does not mean you will never say something you regret. It means you learn, you adjust, you catch yourself faster, and each time you grow stronger. The discipline to control your mood does not mean you never feel anger or sadness. It means you refuse to let those emotions chain you. And each time you choose calm, you reinforce your power. The discipline to control your money does not mean you never slip, but it means you build awareness, you take responsibility, and you return to your vision with greater determination. The discipline to control your mind does not mean every thought will be pure or perfect. It means you refuse to surrender to negativity, you redirect your focus, and you strengthen your ability to choose. Perfection is an illusion, but progress is transformation. Psychology proves that self-compassion is one of the strongest predictors of lasting change. When you treat mistakes as data instead of defeat, you keep moving. Guilt and shame lock people in cycles, but awareness and responsibility set them free. Every stumble is feedback. Every setback is training. Every failure is a teacher disguised as pain. And if you keep going, you will discover that the very moments you once despised become the moments that forged your strength. Think about what happens when you catch yourself before speaking words you might regret. You build awareness. That awareness compounds, and soon your tongue becomes sharper, wiser, and more deliberate. Think about what happens when you catch a mood before it spirals into destruction. You build control. That control compounds, and soon your emotions serve you instead of enslave you. Think about what happens when you catch yourself before spending impulsively. You build discipline. That discipline compounds, and soon money begins to flow toward growth instead of regret. Think about what happens when you catch a negative thought and replace it with focus, courage, and gratitude. You build strength. That strength compounds, and soon your mind becomes a fortress. This is the power of consistency. Small victories accumulate into massive transformation. Research on habit formation shows that repetition engraves new behaviors into the brain until they require less effort, less energy, less willpower. What was once difficult becomes automatic. What was once exhausting becomes effortless. And the person who was once ruled by impulse becomes the person who now rules their own life. There is no timeline but your own. Some shifts happen quickly, others take longer. What matters is not how fast you move, but that you refuse to stop moving. Every day you practice, you are reshaping your future. Every day you choose awareness over autopilot, discipline over impulse, focus over distraction. You are building the person you were always meant to be. This journey is not about becoming someone else. It is about uncovering the strength that was always inside you. Control is not foreign to you. It has always been your potential. Every choice to rise, every decision to redirect, every step toward discipline is proof that you are capable of far more than you once believed. True control requires vision. Without a clear picture of who you want to become, discipline feels like deprivation. But when you link every choice to a greater purpose, discipline becomes devotion. The mouth you control is no longer just about silence or restraint. It is about becoming a voice people respect, a presence that uplifts, a person whose words carry weight. The mood you master is no longer about holding back emotion. It is about becoming a source of stability, the one others can lean on, the one who does not collapse under pressure. The money you discipline is no longer about cutting spending. It is about creating freedom, the ability to say yes to opportunities, the security to build, give, and grow. The mind you strengthen is no longer about chasing positive thoughts. It is about forging a mindset so powerful that it shapes reality itself. Vision transforms sacrifice into strength. Neuroscience confirms that the brain is driven by meaning. When people connect effort to a purpose larger than the moment, they endure longer, push harder, and rise higher. That is why athletes push beyond exhaustion, why creators work through endless setbacks, why leaders withstand storms that would break others. Their vision is greater than their struggle. When you connect the control of your mouth, mood, money, and mind to the life you are building, the struggle no longer feels like loss. It feels like investment. Every pause before speaking is an investment in respect. Every breath before reacting is an investment in peace. Every moment of saving is an investment in freedom. Every disciplined thought is an investment in power. Ask yourself what you want your life to stand for. Do you want to be remembered as someone who let impulses rule, or as someone who ruled themselves with strength and clarity? Do you want your relationships defined by careless words, or by words that healed and built? Do you want your days driven by moods you could not control, or by calm focus that carried you forward? Do you want your financial future dictated by cravings, or directed by wisdom? Do you want your mind to be a prison of fear, or a fortress of possibility? The answers are already in you. The life you desire is not somewhere out of reach. It is waiting on the other side of discipline. Psychology teaches that identity shapes behavior. When you shift from saying, I want to be disciplined, to saying, I am disciplined, your actions follow your identity. Every choice reinforces who you believe you are. If you see yourself as someone who speaks with wisdom, you will pause before words leave your mouth. If you see yourself as someone who remains calm, you will resist moves that try to shake you. If you see yourself as someone who manages money wisely, you will refuse to waste what you've earned. If you see yourself as someone with a strong mind, you will not entertain thoughts that weaken you. Identity fuels consistency, and consistency creates transformation. The vision of who you are becoming must live in you every day, not as a distant dream, but as a reality you claim through choices, through control, through mastery of yourself. The more you live aligned with that vision, the stronger it becomes, until one day you look back and realize you no longer struggle to be disciplined. You simply are. The battle for control is fought most intensely in silence, in the moments no one sees. The world celebrates results, but it is in the unseen discipline that results are born. No one applauds when you choose not to speak a reckless word, when you steady your mood before it explodes, when you walk away from a wasteful purchase, when you redirect a fearful thought. But those invisible victories are the ones that shape everything visible. Success is not built on public applause, it is built on private mastery. The most powerful version of you is forged in the moments where no one is watching but you. It is easy to perform discipline when others are looking, but true growth comes when it is only your conscience that keeps score. Will you silence your tongue when pride demands you defend yourself? Will you steady your emotions when no one is there to praise your patience? Will you manage your money when no one is counting but you? Will you guard your thoughts when no one else can hear them? These questions reveal the depth of your character, because character is not proven in the spotlight, it is proven in the shadows. Psychology calls this integrity gap, the space between what we say we value and what we actually do when unseen. The wider the gap, the more dissonance we feel, and that dissonance drains energy, creates guilt, and erodes confidence. But when your actions align with your values consistently, even when no one sees, you create harmony within yourself. That harmony becomes strength. You no longer feel fractured or conflicted. You move through life with clarity, with congruence, with power that cannot be faked. Imagine the confidence that comes from knowing your words are disciplined, not just when people are listening, but even when it would be easier to lash out. Imagine the pride that comes from knowing your emotions remain steady, not just when it benefits you, but because it is who you are. Imagine the security that comes from knowing your finances are in order, not because someone demanded accountability, but because you chose wisdom for yourself. Imagine the freedom that comes from knowing your mind is clear not only when it is convenient, but because you train it daily. That is real power, power that cannot be shaken because it does not depend on circumstances or audience. Research proves that habits formed in private spill into public. The discipline you practice unseen becomes the identity you carry everywhere. If you can win the hidden battles, the visible ones become easier. If you can master your impulses when no one is around, you will not be broken when the pressure rises in front of others. The life you desire is not won in grand moments, it is secured in the quiet ones. Every silent choice is a vote for the person you are becoming. Every unseen decision is proof that you are not waiting for approval, applause, or validation. You are building strength that is real, strength that lasts, strength that does not crumble when tested. This is what separates those who talk about transformation from those who live it. True control begins in silence, and from that silence emerges a voice, a presence, a life that cannot be ignored. The strength you are building is not just for yourself. It ripples outward into every corner of your life. Control of your mouth shapes your relationships. Control of your mood determines the energy you carry into every room. Control of your money influences the opportunities you create for yourself and those you love. Control of your mind directs the entire course of your future. What you master in silence becomes the force that shapes everything and everyone around you. People may not always understand the discipline you practice, but they will always feel its impact. When your words are measured, people listen differently. They lean in, they trust, they respect, because they know you are not careless with what you say. Trust is built slowly, and nothing builds it faster than words that consistently align with wisdom. The person who controls their mouth becomes the one others seek for guidance, because influence flows to those who use it responsibly. And when you master your speech, you begin to realize that silence itself can carry more weight than 1,000 reckless words. When your mood is steady, your presence becomes an anchor for others. People who live tossed about by emotion crave the stability of someone who does not break under pressure. Research shows that emotional contagion is real. Your mood influences the moods of those around you, often without a word. When you learn to remain calm in the face of chaos, your calm spreads. When you hold peace in the middle of conflict, your peace becomes contagious. This is not only mastery of self, it is leadership. True leaders are not those who control others, but those who control themselves in a way that inspires others to rise. When your money is disciplined, your options expand. You are no longer forced to say yes to every demand or no to every opportunity. Financial discipline is freedom disguised as sacrifice. The restraint to say no to impulses today allows you to say yes to dreams tomorrow. People around you may not notice the small decisions you make, but they will notice the life you build because of them. And the example of your discipline becomes a light for others trapped in cycles of financial stress. Your control creates a path others will want to follow. When your mind is clear, everything shifts. A mind filled with noise cannot create, cannot focus, cannot dream. But a mind disciplined toward vision and strength becomes a magnet for solutions, ideas, and opportunities. Neuroscience shows that focused attention reshapes the brain's wiring, making clarity easier over time. When you train your mind to hold steady, you not only free yourself from chaos, you inspire others to believe that they too can rise above their doubts. Your mental discipline does not stay private. It radiates, it influences, it elevates the people who cross your path. Control is not selfish, it is service. Every step you take toward mastery adds value to others. Your strength becomes a shield for those weaker. Your clarity becomes guidance for those lost. Your discipline becomes hope for those trapped. And though they may never know the battles you fought in silence, they will always feel the strength of the person you have become. The control you build is not about living smaller. It is about unlocking a life larger than anything chaos could ever give you. Impulse offers you moments of pleasure, but discipline offers you a lifetime of freedom. The words you choose not to speak create space for respect that lasts far beyond the moment. The moods you refuse to obey give you peace that cannot be shaken by circumstance. The money you discipline today creates opportunities that will carry you years into the future. The thoughts you master form a mind that becomes unstoppable, unbreakable, unshakable. Control is not the enemy of joy, it is the foundation of it. Without it, joy fades as quickly as it arrives. With it, joy endures because it is built on strength, not chance. Most people chase freedom by running from discipline, not realizing that every step away from discipline is a step deeper into bondage. The person who cannot control their mouth becomes trapped by broken relationships. The one who cannot control their mood becomes trapped by endless inner storms. The one who cannot control their money becomes trapped by stress and debt. The one who cannot control their mind becomes trapped by fear and doubt. This is the prison of a life without control. And yet the keys have always been in your hands. The prison doors are not locked. They are held closed only by habits you have accepted. The moment you decide to master yourself, those doors begin to open. Psychology makes it clear that human beings thrive on a sense of agency, the belief that we can influence our own lives. When we feel powerless, despair grows. But when we reclaim control, even in small ways, hope ignites. Each disciplined choice proves to your mind that you are not a victim, you are a creator. Each victory, no matter how small, feeds the belief that change is possible. That belief is the spark that grows into unstoppable fire. And it all begins with the decision to stop giving your power away. Discipline is not about saying no forever. It's about saying yes to something greater. You are not silencing your words to lose your voice. You are refining them so they carry weight. You are not controlling your mood to suppress your emotions. You are mastering them so they serve your purpose instead of sabotage it. You are not disciplining your money to live in scarcity. You are directing it so it multiplies your opportunities. You are not training your mind to ignore reality. You are shaping it so it sees possibility where others see limits. This is not deprivation. It is alignment. It is strength. It is freedom. Imagine living a life where you no longer wake up weighed down by regret. Imagine the relief of knowing your words consistently build instead of destroy. Your emotions consistently steady instead of storm. Your finances consistently grow instead of shrink. Your mind consistently lifts instead of drags. That life is not reserved for the few. It is available to anyone who chooses control over chaos. And the moment you choose it, the momentum begins to build. Every time you choose control over chaos, you rewrite the story of your life. Each disciplined word, each steady emotion, each wise financial choice, each focused thought is like carving new lines into the script of who you are becoming. You are no longer defined by what once ruled you. You are no longer chained to the same cycles that kept you small. Every moment of mastery becomes a declaration that you are not powerless. You are the author. The old story may have been written in regret, but the new one is being written in strength. Your mouth no longer serves as a weapon that wounds, but as a tool that builds. The power of language is one of the most underestimated forces in the human experience. Studies confirm that words alter not only emotions, but even physical responses in the brain and body. The words you speak have the power to elevate or to crush, to encourage or to destroy. And when you discipline your mouth, you become a source of life instead of poison. You are not silenced, you are sharpened, you are not weakened, you are strengthened. This is the authority that comes when you refuse to let impulse dictate your speech. Your mood no longer controls your direction. Emotional discipline is one of the rarest forms of power in the modern world. Most people move through life dictated by how they feel, tossed between highs and lows, unable to sustain focus. But when you train yourself to rise above your emotions, you separate yourself from the majority. You become the calm in the storm, the stability in uncertainty, the presence that others look to when everything else is collapsing. Emotional mastery is not the absence of feeling. It is the ability to use feeling without being used by it. It is strength clothed in patience, power wrapped in self-control. Your money no longer slips away unnoticed. Financial discipline is not just about numbers, it is about direction. Every decision with money is a statement about your future. To waste is to weaken yourself. To invest wisely is to empower yourself. The restraint you practice today compounds into opportunities tomorrow. The delayed gratification that once felt heavy becomes the very foundation of freedom. You realize that money is not just for survival. It is for creating choice, building impact, and freeing your life from unnecessary chains. With every disciplined decision, you are not losing. You are gaining control over your destiny. Your mind no longer runs untamed. Thoughts once scattered and hostile now bend to your command. Psychology reveals that attention is the most valuable currency of the mind. What you repeatedly focus on shapes not only your beliefs, but also your actions and outcomes. A disciplined mind directs its attention with precision, refusing to waste energy on distractions or negativity. When you command your thoughts, you command your future. You stop reacting to fear and start responding with vision. You stop drowning in doubts and start rising with clarity. This is the transformation discipline creates. It takes what once enslaved you and turns it into what empowers you. It takes what once drained you and turns it into what builds you. The control of your mouth, your mood, your money, and your mind is not just about survival. It is about rising into a life where every choice adds strength, every action adds momentum, every day adds to the legacy you are building. The deeper you step into control, the more you realize that discipline is not about restriction. It is about expansion. It opens doors that chaos keeps shut. It reveals strengths you never knew existed. It gives you access to parts of yourself that remain hidden when impulse is in charge. The moment you begin to live with control, you stop living in reaction to the world and start living in creation of it. You are no longer the echo of circumstance. You are the voice of intention. And that shift changes everything. When you control your mouth, you learn the art of restraint. And restraint is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is the difference between scattering your influence in careless sentences or concentrating it into words that actually shape outcomes. Words once thrown in anger or frustration no longer rule you. Instead, you learn to hold them, to refine them, to speak them with precision. This discipline creates clarity. It creates authority. It creates respect. Every word becomes an instrument, not a weapon. And when people hear you, they hear the strength of someone who does not let impulse dictate truth. When you control your mood, you gain the ability to choose your state instead of being enslaved by it. Most people allow emotions to dictate the quality of their day. If the feeling is good, they rise. If the feeling is bad, they fall. But when you take control, you understand that feelings are not commands, they are signals. You can acknowledge them without surrendering to them. You can feel without being consumed. And that single shift makes you resilient in ways that shake people around you. You carry peace where others carry panic. You carry calm where others carry chaos. That stability becomes your strength. When you control your money, you take back the steering wheel of your future. Every dollar becomes a servant instead of a master. Instead of money telling you where to go, you tell money where to go. That reversal changes everything. It shifts you from survival to strategy, from stress to stability, from scarcity to growth. And every act of financial control compounds over time, building security, freedom, and opportunity. The sacrifice you make today becomes the abundance you live in tomorrow. Money is not the ultimate goal, but it is a powerful tool, and those who master it expand their possibilities beyond imagination. When you control your mind, you unlock the highest form of power available to you, because every external battle is first won or lost in thought. The mind is the source of courage, of endurance, of vision, and when you take command of it, you stop being swayed by fear, by doubt, by distraction. Neuroscience confirms that repeated focus literally rewires the brain, creating new pathways of strength and clarity. This means mastery is not fixed, it is trained. With every disciplined thought, you strengthen the muscle of the mind until it can carry you further than emotion, further than circumstance, further than anything external ever could. This is why control matters. It is not just about managing behavior, it is about transforming identity. It is about stepping out of the patterns that once held you down and stepping into the person you were always meant to become. The one who is steady, the one who is wise, the one who is free.